Alright, hi guys. So welcome to the new chapter that we will be entering today, which is chapter 12. So chapter 12, you are going to study coordination and also response in human. So basically in this chapter, you are going to look at two systems in our body, which are the nervous system and also the endocrine system. So if nervous system is talking about the nerve cells lah, okay, how our body generate the nerve impulse, how it's going to send. For endocrine system, it's more to like hormone. Okay, it's like hormones. So we're going to look at these two systems, how they work together to produce response. So response is just basically how you respond or how you react to the changes around you. Okay, so now let's look into deeper. But before we go further, let's look at this diagram. So this diagram actually shows a general pathway or a general pattern of what you are going to study later. Okay, now this is a common scenario in our daily life. You all use computer, correct? So when you use computer, you will click the mouse to do something, correct? So when you click the mouse, you know that the signal is going to send to where? It's going to send to the what we call this, or processor or CPU. So once you click the mouse, it sends a signal to the processor. The processor, after it processes the signal, it will send another signal to where? To your monitor. So that at the monitor, baru you nampak lah dia tunjuk sesuatu kan. It's either like the monitor show that you click something, correct? So this is the general pathway. What I want to say is that first you must have some changes, correct? So the changes here is that you click the mouse, then it will generate a signal which send to a CPU and processor. So this macam otak kita lah. It's like the processor, you process the signal. So otak kita, after processing, it will generate another signal to the monitor. So the monitor will show something based on the signal from processor. This is just like analogy. Okay, we are going to look into many examples. But this is just like the general pattern lah yang kamu boleh relate kan sebab kamu guna computer. So you should know how all this happen. And this is like the general pattern that happen in our body too. So we're going to see how. Okay, now before we go further, coordination and response. So you need to understand these few words, very important: stimulus, receptor, integration center, response, and also effector. These 5 terms are going to be repeated again and again throughout the whole chapter, and you need to use all these words, the scientific words, to answer in examination. Else, if you don't understand, you cannot understand the following parts. If you don't use this word, you are not going to get marks in exam. Understand? You cannot say, you cannot use other word to replace stimulus lah kalau the question is asking about this chapter. Okay? So first, let us look at the stimulus, or what we call as stimuli. Okay, stimuli is plural. Okay, boleh? So the definition very easy. The change that stimulate response. So apa itu respon pula? So the response is the way of organism react after detecting stimuli. So did you realize dalam definisi untuk stimulus or stimuli there is response. For the definition of response, you can see the word stimulus. So they are actually paired. Okay? Means that whenever you see stimulus, there will be a response. Understand? Whenever you see a stimuli or stimulus, you will see response. Unless your body cannot function normally. Unless your body ada masalah. Mungkin dari segi kesihatan ke apa. That in some cases, some people with health condition, when there is stimulus, maybe they cannot carry out proper response. But for normal people, whenever there is stimuli, supposedly there will be a response. So let's look at the example here, touching a hot kettle. So what is the stimulus here? The stimulus is touching hot kettle, or what we call as the heat. Understand? The change is the heat or the touching the hot kettle. So what is your response? Response you tahu kan is how you react to the stimulus. So since your stimulus is something dangerous that can hurt you, so your response tends to be withdrawing hand due to heat. Now stimulus, once again, is the changes that stimulate what? That stimulate response. You need to remember the definition and also understand it. So this stimuli can actually divided into external and also internal. So first, I want to tell you, in chapter 12, we are going to be focusing on external. This is chapter 12. We are going to look at external mainly lah. It's the changes outside your body, which we call as external environment. Mainly it's about the 5 senses. The 5 senses that you know, the touch, the vision, the hearing, the smell, the taste. Later we're going to see the example for this. And for internal is the changes inside your body, which we call as internal environment. And the example is high blood pressure. For example, if after you exercise, your heartbeat increase, the blood pressure become increase. How your body is going to deal with this? Okay, and also the body temperature. If you have fever, so your body temperature increase. How your body is going to react or detect? How your body is going to react after detecting this stimuli? Okay, to carry out a certain response. So that will be internal. But this one will be in chapter 13. We are going to learn more in chapter 13. So what I want to say here is you don't need to see the internal first, but you focus on the external. So now, this is another example, okay, of stimulus and response. You can see they are paired. Whenever there are stimulus, there are response. So the stimulus here is external because this one is smell. You smell something, kan? This is external. You use your nose to smell. So there is a bad smell coming from this rubbish bin. What is the response for the girl? She covers her nose. Understand? Okay, this is what we call as the Mimosa pudica. Mimosa pudica. Okay? Species. In other words, it's the sensitive plant. The common name I'm not sure, but it's the Mimosa pudica. Whenever you touch, right? They will close, the leaf will close. So this Mimosa pudica is also another example. The stimulus here is actually touching, correct? The changes here, okay, that detect by the Mimosa pudica is the touching. So this is the stimulus. So after the Mimosa pudica, it detects the stimulus. What is the response? The leaf close. Understand? So they always pair up. Now we have receptor, integration center, and also effector. Okay, so this one salah, bukan effect, effector. So what are those? So first now, look at the receptor. It's the special sensory cell that detects stimuli. Okay, so whenever you have stimulus, you need to have something to detect, correct? So it will be detected. You need to use the word detected by receptor. After the receptor has detected the stimulus, what receptor will do? It will send signal, or actually in scientific words we use nerve impulse. Receptor will send the nerve impulse to the integration center. So it's like the CPU lah, the processor, correct? Integration center. Just now I used analogy to describe it as CPU or processor. The place where it processes the nerve impulse, which we usually refer to the brain. Okay, the brain. The brain is like the CPU of our body, correct? So it will translate or interpret the nerve impulses. This is the word that I want to see when you answer in exam questions. The nerve impulse, okay? And coordinates a response. So your body will interpret the signal and tells your body what should you do. Then you have effector. So usually it's muscle and glands. Gland is the organs that secretes hormones. So this one we are going to look at chapter 13. Actually chapter 12 you are going to see also. But how it actually going to help your body will be looking at chapter 13. But this one chapter 12 also ada. But you only study about the glands and the net, okay? And the function of the hormone. So effector is the part of body that responds. Okay? Now let's look at this example. This is another analogy. Analogy is just like, I'm trying to describe something with suitable example. This is a lookout man. For example, in a war, there will be a lookout man, correct? They always see whether there is enemies coming or not. Let's say now you have enemy. So this lookout man detect the stimuli. The stimuli is the enemy, correct? This is the stimulus or stimuli. So this lookout man detect the stimulus. So this lookout man is like the receptor. So he's going to send the signal or send this information. So in this case, in our scientific way, we call as nerve impulse in our body. In our body, since this is analogy, but actually he's trying to give information to the this is the general or what we call as commander. So after the general or commander receives the nerve impulse, this general and commander is going to process the signal or process the information, okay, to decide whether or not to attack, correct? So actually you can actually use analogy to describe this general or commander as the integration center, which once again we usually refers to the brain, okay? Because the brain is the one that controls the activities in our body. So this general and commander is just like the integration center, like the brain. So he's going to process the nerve impulse, which is the signal. Okay, now you have enemy, attack or not? Okay, let's say I said attack. So he's going to give a command to the soldiers. So in scientific way, we also said the nerve impulse now, okay? So this is the soldiers, actually this is the soldiers. But in scientific way, they are actually the effector, because they are the one who carry out response. Understand? The response? Okay, let's say this nerve impulse contains the signal saying that, okay, now you need to attack and eliminate the enemy. So after this effector receive the nerve impulse from the integration center, they are going to carry out the response. What is the response? Based on the nerve impulse, which is attack. So they attack the enemy. Understand? So here, these are the main component and pathway that we have been talking just now. Okay, they involve in detecting. So I want you to use the word detect. You don't use the word like maybe you will use like hear stimuli, see stimuli. No, jangan you use the most accurate one, which is detecting. Yang this one I tak accept lah. Okay, you use detect. Okay, so here it's just the one that I explained just now. It's just like clearer picture, which is stimulus, the changes is going to be detected by receptor. So this receptor is going to generate or send. You need to use the word once again that I stress on, nerve impulse, to the integration center. So what happened here? This is usually the brain, correct? This is usually referring to the brain. What happened at the integration center after it has the nerve impulse? It process, translate, or interpret the nerve impulse. So after, okay, just take the example just now. After the commander have the signal, so it will process, and then the integration center is going to generate another nerve impulse. This nerve impulse is going to tell the effector what he or she is going to do. Okay, but usually effector in our body is muscle, right? So this integration generate punya nerve impulse is going to tell our effector, maybe muscles or gland, what they should do. Okay, then this effector will carry out response. Understand? So it's just simple as like this. Now, I want you to use 1 minute to look at this picture, and you pause the video, and then after that you need to draw. If you don't draw, you just listen, you tend to forget. Because you just listen, after a while you can forget easily. But if you draw, then it can actually, like, you tend to remember it for a longer time lah. Boleh? So you pause the video now. 1 minute. Okay, then continue with this drawing. Okay, are you ready? Because I won't really wait for 1 minute in video, like you can pause the video. So now, once again, you start with stimulus or stimuli. Then it's going to be detected by the receptor, correct? Receptor is the spatial sensory cells, maybe your eyes, maybe your tongue, and so on. So it's going to be detected by the receptor. So this receptor is going to send the nerve impulses to the integration center, which usually we refer to your brain. So you remember the CPU of our body. So it's going to send nerve impulse. So what happened here? The nerve impulse, I use short for that, is being processed or translated. Understand? Then after the signal, sorry, not the signal. After the nerve impulse have been translated, it's going to generate and send another nerve impulse to where? To the one that carry out response. What is the name? Effector. So this effector is going to carry out response. Boleh? So this is the general pathway. It means that it doesn't matter what is the example, it usually will follow this pattern. Understand? So you can actually say carry out here, carry out. Okay, this is an example. Now your eye is the receptor. What is the stimulus being detected? It detects there is a drink. So your eyes tells your brain, okay, there is a drink. So your brain now start processing. Oh, there is a drink. Am I thirsty now? Okay, let's say your brain said, yes, I'm thirsty, I need to drink. So what happened? Your brain will send the nerve impulse to your arm. Okay, this is your arm saying that, okay, now take the drinks and drink. So this is the pathway lah. Detect stimulus, send nerve impulse to the brain, then brain process. Am I thirsty? Yes or no? If yes, okay, I'm going to take the drink. So the arm carry out the response. Understand? So this is the response. This is another example. Once again, this is also external stimuli, right? External stimuli that detected by your eye because you see an apple. So what happened? After the receptor detect the stimuli, which is an apple, is going to send the nerve impulse to the nerve impulse, the short form for nerve impulse. Later, when I explain, I might write NI stand for nerve impulse. It's going to send to your integration center, the brain. Okay, so brain will try to process the nerve impulse. Okay, now I see an apple. Should I eat it? Am I hungry? Okay, now if let's say yes, I'm hungry, I want to eat the apple. What happened? It sent another nerve impulse to your hand. So your hand is going to carry out response. What is the response? It's going to grab the apple. Understand? So here you see, just now there is a lot of receptor, the integration center, and also the effector. They are working together. So now we come with a word coordination. So in simpler words, it means how well your body system and organs work together. Okay, in simple words. But can you answer like this in exam? No, you don't answer like this. If the question asking for definition, you need to answer by scientific way, which is the stimuli detection process by receptors that ends in appropriate response by effectors. So you can look at this diagram. Let's say your brain said yes, but your mouth said no. Is this a good coordination, or is this a very weak or poor coordination? So it is a very poor coordination because your brain doesn't work well with your mouth. Understand? Your brain said yes, but your mouth said no. Terbalik lah, kan? Only when your brain said yes, then your mouth said yes, that means your body is well coordinated. Understand? If your brain said yes, but your mouth said no, let's say so your brain tells you, I'm very hungry, but your hand doesn't move, your mouth doesn't move. Is this well coordinated? No. Okay? So coordination will generally involve two systems. As I mentioned, that you will be learning the nervous system and endocrine system in this chapter. But I'm not going to explain this example because it involves a lot of words, terms that you don't understand. For example, medulla oblongata is a part of your brain and the type of receptor, so on. So I'm not going to go through with this example, but you need to understand it's only involving, it's not only involving, but it generally involving nervous system and endocrine system. Boleh? Now, type of receptor, you look at the words in front of the word receptor. Let's say you have receptor here, right? So you look at the words in front of it. Let's say it's photo. You know photosynthesis, right? So photosynthesis is the making of the nutrients or the foods with the help of light. So anything that related to photo is light. So here photoreceptor, this receptor will detect light. Use the word detect. Once again, I stress on very much time already. Detect. Jangan nanti exam you bagi saya kerja lain. It must be detect. Detect the light, detect the stimuli, which is like thermo, also similar to thermometer. So it's about temperature. Chemo is chemistry or chemical substances. Baro is change in pressure. You have barometer, right? The one that measures the pressure. And mechanoreceptor, touch and pressure. Nociceptor, pen. Okay, so you just look at the words in front of the word receptor lah. So this is an example. Now your eyes, just now we have many examples of eyes seeing something, right? So it is actually photoreceptor. The type of receptor of eyes is photoreceptor because it detects the light stimulus. Understand? So what are the necessity of response? Okay, why do you need to have such kind of response? Why do your body needs to have this ability, which is detecting stimulus, after that process the information, after that you carry out response? Is because you need to, okay, let me use another color. Okay, is the ability of organism to detect changes in external environment is very important for the survival of organism. For some animal, a sudden change in climate condition will motivate the animals look for new shelters. For example, here is the bear. Let's say if there is a change in the weather and let's say you have no response toward it, what will happen? The organism tend to die, correct? Because the weather is not suitable anymore. But then your body cannot detect. Okay, it looks a lot, but let's read one by one. So, the ability to detect change in internal environment is also equally important, so that the information can be transported to the integration center, which is the brain. Now, your brain will then transmit the information to the effector to respond to the change. For example, this is the one, internal stimuli. Your body temperature increase above the normal range. For example, fever lah. So this information will be transmitted to the brain by the receptor. So the receptor tells your brain, now your body is suffering. Okay, your body is now having a very high body temperature. You are going to have suffer and so on. So what your brain do? The brains will now process the information and serve nerve impulse to the effector to decrease the temperature back to the normal range, so that you won't die or you won't have some health condition lah. In conclusion, humans and animals needs to respond to adapt to the changes to environment. Mostly is due to the survival. Understand? So after this, we are going to look at 12.2. It's about nervous system, right? So you need to really understand this 12.1 before you entering the new chapter, okay? I mean entering a new subtopic. So this video ends here. There will be a part 2.